Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio Business Podcast. Back again. I'm Stephen Pohl, your host. We are joined today with Matt CHIMENTO of the CHIMENTO Agency. Thanks for joining off. First off,
Hey, Stephen, how you doing?
great. Why don't you kind of give us a little background of your career? Because when I checked out your LinkedIn, kind of had, you've been all over the place. I saw, Indiana, North Carolina, LA. So kind of just walk us through your career before you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in the creative industry, which if no one has really been employed by the creative industry before, it is a roller coaster. Depending on where you're working and your expertise and whatever else that goes into that, your job could change within months instead of years. A lot of people, it's years that they're in a place. For me, it's rarely been more than 9 months for a job. That may just be me, but yeah. So I moved a lot. I did a lot of different things. I got into like PDF form design, which was weird, but it was a really, really tiny niche that was like nationally needed. So I was moving a lot. And then I've been building businesses and in the creative industry with friends or by myself since 2007. So I've really been all over the place, and I feel like I've learned a lot. And I don't know if all of that is relevant to everybody or even to me in some cases, but I feel like I've been able to use it in really interesting ways.
Mm-hmm. What kind of led you to starting off your agency, and what kind of pushed you towards starting it?
So a friend and I started a business back in 2007, and we did it on the side. We both had full-time jobs. He was in the military, so we were never able to dedicate a ton of time to it. But I loved that. I loved being self-employed, and so when we ended in 2015, I was sad, but I was making money, at a full-time job. So the goal for me has always been to go back into self-employment, to be, to self-sustaining, making my own money, making my own rules for myself. So that was a big part of it. Another part of it was creative freedom and control over my projects. I've worked for other people. I still work for other people. But the ability to say, I like this, I like designing certain things my way, I'm going to keep doing it that way because I know that it's better for people than sometimes a non-designer's idea. That's my goal. So I love it. I love being self-employed, and this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
That's amazing. You don't have a full-time position right now, do you? You're just doing the agency, right?
I do. I'm actually working for the government of Ohio on another PDF design project, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. So is it just PDF formatting? I mean,
it's weird, man. People send out forms, big agencies. I've worked for like the Social Security Administration, where people are sending out like their tax forms and, forms proving that they're a citizen and everything else. And what they do is they can fill it out on a piece of paper and send it back, or they can fill it out in a form, an Acrobat or a Reader on their computer and mail that information back into a database. So what I'm doing is I'm designing the front end, what people see when they're filling out a form. I'm making it responsive, and I'm making it clean to use, and, readable, the whole 508 compliance, for certain needs. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm pretty good at it, and people hire me all over the country for it. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. Is that kind of like, so I'm thinking what you just said, is it kind of like DocuSign? I feel that's my only.
Kind of, except that it's directly through Adobe. So Adobe has their own software suite. People pay millions of dollars for the software that brings everything into one giant infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about, when did you start your agency? What is, your draw specifically for? Who are you looking for, and who are you trying to target?
It's all small businesses for me.
Okay.
I've been working in the small business industry since 2016 or 15, like directly with the small business industry. I've worked for nonprofit organizations that support small businesses directly with loans or with education or something like that. We've been fighting against the predatory lenders and stuff like that. I've kind of in that whole space. So I really felt like I got kind of like moved into that industry by working at those organizations. And so that's the whole goal of my agency is I want to support small businesses, and I want to do it in a way that makes people comfortable and feel like they're in control still of their marketing and their design and their branding, whatever else that I'm doing for them. I want them to feel like they can trust what they're getting from me, and I'm working with them as a partner, or almost, making them feel almost like I'm a hired hand by them rather than somebody who's just doing stuff for them. That's kind of my whole thing.
Kind of like a collaboration project, right? Just an
Yes.
ongoing one. Yeah.
Yeah. I want people to be able to come meet with me, sit down with me, and then see me constantly throughout the course of the project or our partnership. I don't want them to feel like, hey, you met me once and now, I'm gone forever and I'm a voice on a phone call. I want it to be really personal.
Very hands-on. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the way you got to do it. I mean, like, you build that relationship over time and builds that strength, and it's symbiotic. That's what you want out of a business relationship, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes.
Love the approach.
And you deal with a small business industry, which is it fluctuates constantly. Businesses are going in and out of business constantly. Money's tight one month and it's flowing the next. So I want people to feel like, I'm not locked into some kind of contract, where they're paying a ton of money, and if they don't pay the money, I disappear. Like, I want it to feel like I'm with you on your business, and that you can feel comfortable with me all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's a great approach. I've never heard somebody kind of like fluctuate just with that rolling period, because that is definitely how it is.
It's weird. Not many people in my industry charge hourly, but that's what I do. I charge hourly. So you only pay me what I do for your month.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, which is what people usually have to deal with, is the whole trust factor. People don't want to pay hourly because I could be sitting around twiddling my thumbs for an hour and charging you, but that's not what I'm doing. And so they have to trust that I'm going to be a good partner and that I'm doing the work that they need me to do. So, because of that, all my business comes from referrals from people who already trust me.
Nice. So your client acquisition is just primarily through referrals. Do you do any type of marketing or anything like that?
I have a website, I have like a chat window, I have business cards, but I've rarely used, I don't think I've gotten a single solid lead from my website since setting it up. And it's weird. Like, that's what I do, is I build websites for people, and my clients are getting plenty of leads, but I'm not getting one, and there's a reason for that, is that I'm in the industry where referral is like it's everything. It's always what it is. So people go on the site, they'll see my portfolio, but only because they were referred there by a friend.
It's kind of like just kind of like another business card, or like a resume, really. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Show that you're the real deal. Yeah. Have you thought about kind of maybe expanding through marketing at all?
What do you mean?
Well, have you thought about, maybe putting yourself just marketing to get more clients? Have you ever thought about doing that?
Yeah. I do ad campaigns every once in a while, and I try things out here and there. I don't like spending a ton of money on advertising because I kind of know that it doesn't work. So I'll go out and I'll put some money in, but basically, if I'm not spending like $2,000 or $3,000 a month in advertising, it's not going to do anything for me, and I'm not even making that, I'm not making enough money to make that make sense. So whatever works for me at the moment is kind of what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in the same boat. I tested out marketing. I can't throw, I'm not going to throw $3,000 or whatever, down on it to probably actually reap the rewards of it. But I'm with you in that regard. I like doing this organic stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's important for people to know too. Like, you'll go to small businesses and they'll be like, okay, what do I have to put into my Facebook campaign? And you're like, first of all, you need to decide if you need a Facebook campaign, or if you need to put money into Google ads. So it is a business by business, case by case thing. And I'm one of those businesses where it almost doesn't make any sense at all unless I have, 10 grand to throw into Facebook advertising. And yeah, I'll get plenty of leads back, but I mean, I'm one guy. I don't know if I can deal with all those leads. And so it's weird. It's like a step, you go up a certain amount, all of a sudden you get too many, and you go down a certain amount, you don't get anything.
So where are you kind of spending the bulk of your time right now within your business? Is it just working on the websites? Is it trying to get new clients? Just where are you spending the most of your time right now?
Right now, it's building out client projects, and some of those clients, they're ongoing or they're growing projects. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically I'm narrowing down what I'm doing with them, and I'm making sure that they know that I'm not just going to be like designing a new website for you every other week. Now what I need to do is I need to focus on making your website work better. So that's really what I do after I get a new client, and I build their site or I make their logo or whatever. Now what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the infrastructure that I've built for them is working for them, and it's bringing in the end result of what it's supposed to do, which is money and business. It's making the money. So, I have a client, I'm working with another small business, support organization, and they have new programs going out all the time for those programs, or I'm working with their other marketing teams, and I'm, collaborating with them that way. So like, it's always an ongoing thing. And that's probably the majority of my work that I'm doing for them right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What key features do you think when you look at other businesses' websites, what do you think they're missing? Like what's like kind of a blaring issue?
That's a good question. Quality, unfortunately, a lot of websites, they fail. My own personal opinion for modern design quality. So I think that your site could work, and it may be working just fine. And in that case, don't touch it. But for a site that's not working, that's representing your business, you want that site to be as nice of a business card as you can for your business. You want it to look professional. You want it to look like you want people shopping there and not, turning around and going back the other direction. Yeah. So, So the quality is a big one. Another one is, I mean, visual quality is one thing, but also like the ability to attract, collect, and do something with the leads that you're getting from the website is another one. So quality of I'm going to lose all my words now, but yeah, the quality of the
people on the site, and just kind of retention, I guess. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Retention's a good one. Yeah. That's basically what it is if people are coming to your website and they're looking at 3 of your pages and then going back to Google search results, your site hasn't done what it's supposed to be doing. Your site is supposed to collect people. It's supposed to, bring them into your business to make them feel like this is what they need, and then convert them in some way. So if a site that isn't doing that, it's not meeting up its goals, not meeting up to its goals, So we need to make that happen either through a form that's easier to fill out, or, an email newsletter collection way, or whatever it is, a phone number that's easy to see for people to click on or call. So that my goal is making sure that the website matches what the business needs.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should, if you could check out my website after this, I'd appreciate it. Tell me what I'm missing.
Yeah. I saw that. It was, you're doing what was it? Financial, right?
Clay Financial. Yep.
Yeah, I like it. It's really interesting. I have questions for you now about like starting your business. What was your experience in getting into the financial industry? Because I'm a design guy. I'm not a finance guy.
Well, the funny thing is now I feel like I do a lot of like I'll go into what I do, but I started investing when I was 18. Met a advisor around that age. We hit it off. I went to college. We formed a relationship, and then I actually partnered with him to buy out his business after I graduated. So, I was very lucky in that regard, but I did a lot of things in the back end to kind of build that relationship up and build my qualifications. But he's more of a silent partner. I've been doing this for about 2 years now. A lot of stuff prior to that, work-wise, but now I primarily focus on, retirement, 401ks, insurance, car, that type of stuff. But the funny thing is I had no idea how to get clients, how to, get people to work with me. So I basically I saw this, I was watching some Instagram live about some rapper I don't even listen to, but he had some good philosophy and whatnot. He's like, if you want people to buy he's like, how to become a rapper? He's like, you gotta stop making music. You gotta sit down, learn Adobe, learn how to design, all that. You gotta, brand yourself. So I did all that. Now I'm like kind of focusing on, I'm basically working exclusively in Adobe now, which is funny, but that's pretty much my background. And then
it's weird, isn't it? Like you go into the business and your goal is to, manage someone's portfolio, and all of a sudden you're managing an Instagram account 90% of the time. It seems counterproductive or counterintuitive, but it's honestly, it seems like it's the biggest part of business now. I'm really excited. That's really cool. I'm glad that you've gotten to that point where you can see it and you can move past it now, or you can like integrate it into part of your daily routine rather than a lot of people won't do it. I feel like I won't do it. I don't like managing my Instagram account.
I didn't have any social media because I had it in high school, and it was just such a negative drain on my, you know, energy and whatnot. But then I got it because I knew that's where everyone's at. That's the marketplace. You know, I really, a lot of what my earlier content was pretty cringy in my opinion, but you know, it's just adapting and learning what works and doesn't. But now it's now like my Twitter account is probably where I get the most, you know, leads, not really my website or anything, but and awesome. The podcast, but it's interesting on how you kind of those things work out for you in the long run. But but my website, I have to use like, it's everything with finance is compliance, you know, so I have to go through it's called FMG Suite, and they got to backlog everything, and it's so expensive. It's ridiculous, but that's how it is. I wish I could work with somebody like you. I had another guy on the podcast. He makes some great websites. Like, I wish I could work with somebody hands-on, you know, locally instead of some people over the phone, but it's just how it is. But
I mean, and it's going to be like comfort level too. You know, you don't want to just update your website because, you know, someone tells you need to update it, or maybe I'll update it today. Like, you make sure that if it needs to be updated, then update it, you know, but don't touch it. You know, if you're getting leads from it, don't feel like you gotta, that's my thing is I'll go on, I'll be like, oh man, I need to change my whole homepage all over again. And hands off, man, it's working just fine. So I like it. I think it's a good site. It's a good way to start. I actually did. I listened to it was Taylor Jansen, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I listened to that one. Yeah, that was cool. He was a cool dude. He had a lot of really good advice. I liked him.
Yeah. What was I going to ask? What is your kind of criteria to update a website? When is it time to update it? When it's just not working, or you have like a
not working and outdated, 10, 15 years old, you know, it looks like it was built on Yahoo Page Builder or something. Like it needs to match what people are making nowadays if you're getting a new website. And then, you know, what's your lead count, and does it match what you need? I was consulting with a dude down in Virginia who has like a restaurant down there. And they were talking about maybe we need to update our whole site, but their whole site's built on an e-commerce platform that's so deeply integrated into their entire business model that if I were to take their site and update it to something new, it would cost them like $30,000 to like update, not just the site, but like the e-commerce platform. And then that touched their point of sale system, and they need to change that. Like, it's not worth it. Like, don't touch it. You know, if the site's working and people are buying stuff from it, then just change the CSS, you know, change how it looks if you need to. But, you know, don't touch what you don't need to touch. Otherwise, it's just going to be too much money. You know, it's not worth it.
And you're just wasting time. And when you don't
wasting time, the training, just alone, the training new employees on a new point of sale system, like people need to build that into their schedule. I work for a point of sale system. I actually know this. Like, people will spend hundreds of hours retraining their staff on where the new buttons are on the point of sale system, and, you know, where the print receipt button is, because like they didn't expect to do that. They just thought, hey, they'll switch our software out and, you know, everything will be fine. It's not fine. You got to change, you know, train everybody again. Same for the website. You know, you got a digital marketing guy who's working with your site. He needs to know where everything is. Where's your about page, you know? So, yeah.
People, you really gotta look at if the money, first off, is gonna be worth it. Mm-hmm. And then the hours just to train, and then there's cost benefit analysis, but that's what you gotta do.
Yeah. And I'm finding that, you know, building a website, building a marketing plan, like this is something that I'm kind of good at, but even bigger thinking that is almost like the project planning and management side of it. Because it's turning into, it touches everything in your organization. It's not just the marketing side. It's not just the website side. It's everything. It's how do you display your products? And if you're displaying your products, who's taking the photos of your products? And do you have a place to do that? And do you have time set aside to market your new products by taking photos and by writing descriptions? Do you have somebody writing that copy? So like all of a sudden, everything on your website's not just one little element of your site. Now it's touching everything else in your site. And so like, I mean, sure, you can do that, but do you have the budget for it? You know, do you have the time set aside to do it? Have you worked with a team that's able to flex and flow and make changes in a way that they need to? So, yeah.
It's almost kind of like websites are becoming, you know, well, they have been. They're just becoming the storefront, and that's basically it. So they got to be able to really highlight every feature of each product and what services you're offering.
Yeah. I mean, if you do business primarily online, it's a lot easier. Obviously, you're not having to deal with like everything that goes into making it work alongside your brick and mortar. But if you're doing if you have a brick and mortar store and you're like, hey, I need a new website, it's a big project. It's a much bigger project than a lot of people think. And you need to be prepared for that. And, having somebody who understands that come in and say, okay, here's where it's going to touch. And here's what you need to, budget time or money or whatever for. That's really important. Otherwise you get stuck halfway through the design process. You spend, a couple $1,000s or whatever. And then they don't have a website because nothing else is working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From a, the website creation industry, I guess I would say, where do you think the industry is kind of headed towards? Is there any like new ways they're getting clients? Are they doing any new, just where's the industry kind of headed towards?
Well, from a design perspective, I can tell you that all those websites are starting to look the same. I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but they all look the same now. They all have the header. They all have the links on the top right corner.
Scroll down. It's all constantly scrolling down. Yeah.
The call to action button somewhere, and that call to action is throughout the rest of the site, and there's something to do. They're all looking the same. And I think that whole unique, like the Flash website that was 15 years ago, that's probably going to wind up making a comeback again, because people are going to they're going to all funnel back down to a pure white site with 6 images on it and, big, bold text from Google fonts. And they're going to get bored of it real quick. So I think that there's going to be a point, we're going to reach a breaking point of that, and something's going to have to change. I'm also seeing, surprisingly, AI is getting itself involved into this, and it's starting to design websites using user interactions or like eye tracking software or whatever, and it's figuring out the best way to make a site based off that, which is pretty interesting. So I would be interested to see how an AI would lay out a website, and if that's something that someone can jump into right away. It's not going to be me, but yeah, somebody smarter than me is going to come along and be like, hey, I'm going to make a design agency, and the brain of this design agency is going to be a piece of software. So I can see that happening.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's all about where the eyes are looking at. And eye tracking software is, I think it's, kind of established. It's not like some fluke system.
Amazing. It's kind of scary what it can do and what it can learn about you just by where your eyes dart around the screen. It's strange. Yeah.
Technology. Is it moving too fast? But
that's a different podcast.
Yeah. So speaking of podcasts, you've had a podcast. Are you actively using that? Are you actually recording and putting it out there? Or?
Well, I should be. I think we have an episode that I just haven't gotten around to editing yet. Usually my wife does it, but yeah, it's just me and my wife and my sister, and we sit around and talk and try to make people happy. But I think it was more of an experiment than anything. We liked certain elements of some podcasts and some entertainment. My wife's big into YouTube. And so taking elements from that and trying to make something positive about it. I think there's a lot of people that talk about either really negative stuff. There's a whole podcast now dedicated to the coronavirus, and sure, we could talk about that all day long if we wanted to, but if you want to feel bad all day long, go ahead and listen to that. I didn't really want to do that, so we wanted to talk about something that was fun, something more personal, a little bit more of a entertainment, radio show kind of vibe, but without the raunch. I hope maybe it's
positivity. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I love podcasting. I think it's just a great way. I think it forces you to talk long form. I think it's great. So I highly suggest you continue down that path.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've really been enjoying listening to yours since you reached out to me. I've been trying to listen as much as I can. You got a really good format. This is a really awesome format. I love it. And I got to get you in touch with some of my clients because they run small business organizations, and they turn the format of the interview of a small business owner is really, really smart. And, be prepared. You're going to have a lot of copycats out after you.
Well, I copied off. So I started just doing kind of what you were saying with your podcast in college, but I wanted to meet business owners because I knew it was a good way to network. But yeah. I forgot about why I started it. And then I remember I was listening to Gary Vee, and he's like, if I was trying to make clients, I would literally just call it the State You're In Business Podcast, and then just reach out to business owners. I was like, I listened to that, I turned it off, I stopped listening to it, and literally because I knew how to do the whole podcast, make a podcast. Did that exactly. And then started reaching out to people, and it's that's why I did was podcasting.
Yeah, look what happened. You lined up a bunch of different interviews and everything. It's so cool. It's such a good idea. Yeah.
Um, so what have been some, just back on the track?
Yeah,
What have
no,
been
no, it's
some
fine.
what has been some great, like what have you learned through becoming a business owner? Like have been some successes, some failures?
Ooh, okay. Uh, I would say like for successes, meeting tons and tons of really cool, smart people that know a million times more than I do, probably ever will, about their industry and about their work. And like the thing about small business owners is they're doing what they're doing because they love what they're doing, usually, or that's at least why they started it. Is they got into it. They were sick and tired of working for somebody else, and so they went and started it themselves and they did it their way, kind of what I did. And the ability for them to succeed at what they're doing so well that they can then come and hire me to make them even better. That's like, it's a plus for me. It makes me feel like I'm important enough to work with them. Like they're the real heroes here. I'm helping them look good. They're the hero. They've been doing this for a long time. They've made an entire career out of it. They're an expert. They're the 10,000 hours expert in their field. And I, like, it's pretty amazing to meet people like that. I've worked with dudes in like the 3D animation industry. He's down in North Carolina. He's a cool guy. I've worked with like people who've been in banking and finance, and given loans to small businesses for literally 60 years. Like they've been doing this their entire life. And so, I mean, I can keep on going, but that's what the kind of people that I work with. And they're usually like, these are the salt of the earth guys. Like these people are all fantastic guys, women, doesn't matter. Like they're all very smart. They're much smarter than I am. They're better at whatever they're doing than me. And I love working with them. So that's definitely a success for me. I get to know them. I get to have their contact information in my phone, and I have the ability to like refer them out to other people because, hey, why not make friends with somebody else that I know?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. For failures, I would say, I wish I hadn't closed my earlier business. I liked having the business I did with my friend. We did like ballet videography, and that was really fun. It was very creative. I got to like flex a lot of different, muscles, and just meet a lot of really cool, active people who really good at what they did. I wish I hadn't done that. And then probably
any specific reason why you shut that down?
We were too busy. We were living in different states at that point. He's a Marine. He's on deployment constantly. So like, we didn't have a lot of time to do it. I was working full time, moving around all the time. Our clients were mainly based in like Florida and New York City. And so I'd have to keep flying out to Manhattan and like get a hotel there and like stay there for the night and carry cameras around the streets and everything. Like it got a little exhausting after a while, and it was like a 2-man operation, So we had to close it. Just, it wasn't making enough money to make it a full-time thing. But if I had kept that going, like, on the side, hey, we're available this year. Do you want to hire us? We probably could have done that. It would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But back to kind of what you earlier said about the success on how, business owners kind of follow what they're passionate about. What I've noticed is people, they start because of that, but if you really want to, run a business, what keeps you in the long haul of it is your passion. Like you're not gonna, you might see an opportunity, you might start out, but you're really just banging your head against the wall. But if you're really passionate about it, one day you'll get through that, that wall somehow. But it's the passion is what really carries you through, just determination, I'd say.
Yeah, and there's different kinds of people. Like the ones that are willing to learn everything that goes into their business. That's a special breed of people. Not everybody's like that. There's a guy who he does floor tiling, but he also knows how to run all his social media accounts, and he knows how to manage all of his finances, and he knows how to run a marketing campaign and manage email leads, and get out and hit the streets and connect with other people. Like that's an all-in-one guy. Like you don't see people like that all the time. So the people that can do that, they're pretty amazing. But it's really the people that are successful enough that can build the success from the get-go and run their business successfully enough to be able to hand all the other stuff that goes into running a business off to other people and only focus on their passion. To me, that's kind of a mark of success right there. I mean, I'm not saying nobody else is successful if they're not doing that, but the ability to be able to hire staff and say, look, I'm good at floor tiling. Here's what I want to do all the time, make myself better and better every single time I do it. Like, that's a pretty successful way to mark your, how high are you up on that success chain,
Well, at that point, you just focused on one thing, and everything just kind of builds up. You got more people, more hours, so you can scale quicker. So
yeah, and I mean, and the burnout that comes with having to run everything else, that's exhausting. I mean, all of a sudden you're passionate about something, but you're having to do stuff that you're not passionate about in order to do your passion. Like that'll wipe you out really quick.
Yeah, so, I agree. As we wrap up, is there anything that you kind of want to tell, any advice for other entrepreneurs out there?
Yes. I have something that I like to say to everybody that I talk to about the design industry, which is you want to trust who you're working with. You want to trust them implicitly. That's a really important part of any business relationship. So I'm in the design industry. I'm in the marketing industry. I know the people in my industry that I wouldn't want to work with. There are people that they get on a phone call, you talk to them once, and that's it. You're just sending them money every month, and you don't know if it's working or not, and they're not really filling you in, and I will understand stuff. I want people to be able to trust me, and I do that by showing them that I know what I'm doing, and that they can work with me, and they can give me a call at 9:00 at night if they have a question. That's important to me, and I think that that's important to the relationship as a whole, because they're not thinking I'm trying to rip them off. And I'm not thinking that they're just trying to use me and then let me go. It's a really important relationship. And I think that goes for any business, whoever you're working with, me, Taylor from Jansen Media, whoever it is that you're working with, you as a finance guy, that relationship, that business relationship with the person that you're hiring or that, you're contracting to, that's really important. Make sure you trust them, make sure that they can be trusted. And then, work with them on that basis. If that trust is broken, don't stick around because you feel bad for not paying them anymore. That's not good for your business. Make good decisions based on your business.
That's great advice. Yeah. How can people reach out to you? How can they find you? What are your social media handles? All that.
I'm my personal social media handles are my name, Matt Chimento, MATTCHIMENTO, and you can probably find me pretty much anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My business website or URL is chimen.to. It's my last name with the dot in between the N and the T. I need to change that. And you can also find me at mattchimento.com. That's my personal portfolio, and that'll send you wherever you need to go, my business stuff or my other projects. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. That was great. You have some great insight on just business relationships and just creativity.
Man, thank you for inviting me. It's really fun. I like talking to you.
Yeah. Okay.